Welcome everyone to First Five Live, the longest running and most successful Ashes podcast. I, I,
Yeah,
I'm kidding. Actually, my audio is coming through on your thing, Jason.
that's mine. Excuse me. Man, we're so good at this. That's
We're
the thing.
so good at this.
We're so good at this. I fixed it relatively quickly, so you
Yeah,
give me credit for that. Hey, everybody. Seriously, I'm so excited to be here. It's been a long time coming. If you've never watched us before, we are the Phoenix League people. I'm Jason. That's Jeremy, Impossible German, Chaos Theory, and we
how's it
have the
going?
honor tonight to bring you the top eight, the first games in the top eight for Collection of Ashes, which is our vision for a world championship event in Ashes. I'm really excited that everybody bought in so hard to this all year and has played so hard leading up to this. And, the goal was to create a competitive circuit where people would qualify and that the bars that we set towards playing in this event would be as such that the event would just have a really, really high level of competition. And holy crap, did we get there? This has been brutal. It's been an incredible journey to see the decks that people have brought and just how hard everybody is playing. But that signature creativity that the community is known for has not been lost in any way. And I would say that the level of competition hasn't gone down because of it either. Like, it's just been pretty special to watch and hear what's been going on out there.
Absolutely. We are so stoked to bring you these top cut matches. Uh, so if you are unaware, we've been doing Phoenix League for about a year now. We started in January, and there are multiple ways that you can qualify for this Worlds level event. You could earn 12 wins in Phoenix League over the course of the year, or you could qualify by placing a top cut in one of our um, tournament events that we partnered with throughout the year or that we put on ourselves. And so what you're going to see tonight is players that have qualified through different means. This is a very diverse set of players with a diverse set of skills, and we're super excited to bring you some matches tonight. So I'm going to switch
Very good.
over
Yeah.
here, uh, and we're going to jump into a game with Killer Cactus, world famous co-host of the Jankyard, and No Such Method, who is also cool.
Right, world famous, easily the most prolific Ashes meme generator. Both of these guys are pillars of the community, and they're about to try to kill each other.
Yep. So yeah, we're good to go.
Oh
So
man,
as soon as they kick this off, we'll be watching some Ashes hypes.
got it. So these two Phoenixborn came out in the same release, and suffice to say, the directions that these players have taken them look pretty much nothing like the pre-constructed decks that Demona and Hope came with. No Such
Yeah.
Method actually qualified for collection off of a list just like this one in a tournament. And Killer Cactus has taken Hope decks into various competitive games all throughout the year, and they are Phoenixborn that Killer Cactus is pretty exceedingly comfortable with, and so uh, these decks are creative, but I wouldn't say that either of these players has chosen something that's unfamiliar to them. They kind of put on their comfy pants for the
Mm-hmm.
World Championship event. These guys know how to play these decks, and so it's going to be interesting to see how they match them up against each other.
Absolutely. And we, as they're picking first fives, we actually did a lot of discussion over the last few days with the competitors about how we should handle this top cut, and they all unanimously agreed to publish their lists ahead of time, despite that being a kind of unforeseen change in format in this tournament. But they did so that we could have these lists to generate some hype over and discussion. And so we actually have these lists to talk about. We can talk about like what to expect, but right away you see Domona Fallen. This is kind of an archetype that No Such has been pioneering and has done very well for him.
Yeah, what's so cool about the Fallen in Demona is that Fallen is a late game deck that will grind out resource efficiency, and you just can't keep up with it because the actual bodies that it generate are pretty much limitless. As long as your stuff is dying and you have dice, you can keep making more zombies, right?
Mm.
So one of the best ways to combat that is just to try to rush them and slow them down just enough to where they can't fully get to their in-game state. And you can do that by avoiding killing allies whenever it's
Mhm.
possible. But Damona's promote ability lets her get a crazy powerful and flexible unit out of an ally if they don't die. And so it creates
Mhm.
this damned if you do, damned if you don't situation where there's really no good way to interact with all the allies that Demona is bringing to the table.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough situation to navigate. Hope, though, if any Phoenixborn can rush down Fallen, it is Vampire Bat Swarm Hope. And we're going to see that right away. There's an aggressive Huntmaster play here, one of the best aggressive night openers in the game. Immediately followed up from No Such by playing a Ritualist to set up the Chant of Transfusion engine. This is a combination of Fallen archetype with the Pact, which is Phoenix
Phoenix
Attendant,
Attendant.
and Chant of Transfusion, yeah, which has been one of the more effective engine kind of setups that you can do in this game that we've seen in Reborn.
Yeah, you're just playing tennis ball with wound tokens. The Phoenix Attendant takes it off of your Phoenixborn, and then the Chance of Transfusion moves that wound token onto an enemy unit. And past the initial setup cost, it doesn't cost any resource dice to do that. And so it can just really grind out a lot of free damage over the course of the game. And that's why it's proven so popular.
Yep.
Hope has gone wide here. We've got a
Hmm.
Raptor Herder immediately. We're already four wide. Presents an interesting pacing question for No Such because really he doesn't want his allies to start dying until he's used open memories to get a second book. That kind of thing kind of gotten more pieces of the engine online, and so
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to see whether one thing that's available to Killer Cactus is to use Hope's duplicate ability to get a second hatchling here and take a nice big wide swing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's see.
Yep. Gonna block some damage there, but yeah, you can get in solid 4, I think 5 with the Huntmaster's Guide, but I don't know if they'll like if Cactus will want to exhaust the Huntmaster that early. You want to use all of those guides to get maximum value out of that. Um, as much as you want to be super aggressive here, you do kind of have to weave through this defense carefully. Otherwise, you could end up feeding into Fallen's game plan. So we're going to see a Lightbringer book, which is a great way to put some pressure. Um, if not dealt with here with another blocker put out, the Lightbringer could bait the Ritualist into Hope's face, which is why we see, yep, the Shepherd of Lost Souls to put a second blocker out so that you're not taking what 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. Also, real
I think
quick,
some. Go
oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick because before I forget again, big shout out to the real life Rin himself, Stephen Woolley, for tweeting the live stream out. That was really nice of him.
Amazing.
So appreciate that.
That, that is really cool. I want to talk a little bit about what No Such is doing with allies in this first five. So he's he brought Ritualists, which got Chance of Transfusion online. He brought Shepherd of Lost Souls, which got another body back in his hand, and the body that he chose that was in his bin was a Fire Archer, which comes in and pings and gets value. And so he's chosen allies here that are little enough to block and to die and to feed this Fallen engine, but they're also getting him valuable incremental things the minute he plays them as well. And so, just everywhere you look, this is a build that's taking value in tiny chunks everywhere that it can. It's really cool to see how thoughtful the first five and deck construction is on both sides at this point. I'm really interested to see what No Such does about this Lightbringer here, because Hope can also duplicate the Lightbringer and potentially cause more exhausting to go down to maybe force No Such Method to get creative about the ways that he gets these allies dead. Because I tell you one thing, Lightbringer is going to force attacks, but the Hope is absolutely not going to, care about them. Like, she's going to just take the damage to face.
Yeah. The second Lightbringer would, I mean, because the guard is broken now, the second attack would actually take out one of these units. But yeah, you're right. It's a great way to just whittle away at defenses and set up a big swing. Just imagine for me for a moment, if No Such Method had Rapture in his list. How wild would that be right now?
It'd be insane.
Also, yeah, with just to address chat questions here, I will be putting the discard pile up as it's relevant, but I can't keep it up the entire time. There's not really a whole lot of screen real estate to work with here, so.
Charlotte did point out we've been having a lot of discussion about like archetypes and math in Ashes today. Charlotte did point out if we put any graphs on screen, she's going to leave.
Okay, good. I will leave too. It'll be the last thing I do. I'll put a graph up and I'll walk away.
Yeah, Jeremy and I got into Ashes to pull chicks, so the graphs are not exactly conducive to that line of play. Okay, so the first wide attack has gone down. Just as you predicted, Killer did not exhaust that Huntmaster. We want to try to get more value out of that guide token later, and we lost the Raptor Hatchling to a Ritualist block, saving 2 damage there. However, I think that was a good attack. We're always talking about what makes a good attack and what doesn't. I think it's a good attack, and the reason that I do is it's going to be one of the only opportunities that Killer gets all game to swing units in and kill something and not put multiple tokens on Fallen books.
Right.
Because of the sequencing, because of how things had to go in this first round, No Such Method was only able to get 1 Fallen book out. And so, the counter damage in terms of zombie fuel is lower there than it probably will be for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's true. This is about the only chance you're going to get to just put 1 Fallen token out. And I mean, as far as like acceptable like losses, things you kind of have to do in this matchup, you have to find opportunities to swing whenever you're going to feed the fewest amount of resources to this engine, and this is a great opportunity to do so right now. Shepherd of Lost Souls getting mounted up to an Empyrean mount, so only 3 dice left on Demona's side, 2 cards in hand.
Yeah, and this is a toughie because Empyrean Mount can swing in and force a block on this Huntmaster and go ahead and get it gone. I do think that Killer Cactus has some interesting counterplays to that line. For example, if he makes a bat here and Killer decides that he wants to use the Empyrean Mount to force a block from Huntmaster and take it out and prevent the guide token value, you're talking about potentially 4 more damage on Demona there, because Killer could immediately counterswing with the bats. And so, they're going to have to kind of dance around each other. Empyrean Mount is normally a unit that's going to just force some really painful stuff. But against a deck like this Hope that really wants to get you down fast, like Empyrean Mount is an ability that wants to trade it may not care as much about the Pegasus as a lot of decks do.
Yeah, so looking at Killer Cactus's deck list, we can all but certainly, or sorry, we can, I don't know what I'm trying to say. We can certainly say that like the last card in his hand has to be Mirror Spirit. I just don't see anything else in the opening hand that makes sense.
I see one.
You see one potential, but
Yeah, I think it's Mirror Spirit's a good guess. It could be Void Pulse.
it could be. But if you're looking at this kind of setup, we've already got 3 exhausted on this side of the board. If Empyrean Mount does end up eating the Huntmaster and gets exhausted, there's not a whole lot else that No Such may be able to put out on the board to stop a wide swing with a beefed up Mirror Spirit and 2 Vampire Bats, because keep in mind that we'll be able to duplicate the Vampire Bat Swarm. And that's a tremendous amount of damage. That's at least 8 damage coming their way, or 9, I guess, with the amount of exhausted units here. So Killer's just going to be proactive and say, if you want to eat my Huntmaster, I'm at least going to give you the option to take some more damage to face first.
I feel like this is correct.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really have control over when you lose it at this point because of Battlemaster.
Yeah. So what have we seen from? Let's see.
What's the harm here? You're trying to go faster than they are. You don't care if he smacks you back for 3.
So we've seen Ritualist, Fallen, and Shepherd. What did Shepherd pull back again? Do we remember that?
Fire Archer, and then Open Memories was also played.
Okay. So we have a Fire Archer in hand, and we have an unknown 5th first 5 card in hand, correct?
Probably changing when. Yeah. That was a little joke for the.
Yeah. I was confused. I was like looking at the list, and I was like, wait a minute.
Wait.
Hold on a sec. Opting to just take the damage there.
Yeah.
Phoenix Attendant. Yeah, that makes sense. So now Transfusion's going to deal 1 and then heal another. Fortunately, yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what Killer will do first. Because Mirror Spirit's more resilient to this damage. I'm almost certain that No Such is going to save the Chanted Transfusion token for one of the Vampire Bats, but Vampire Bat has built-in protection against that kind of thing. You can just get one right back, but that means that they're not going to get group tactics online this round, probably.
Right. Yeah.
Or to just go
really
for the Lightbringer.
Choice.
Yeah, not a bad choice there. Since you're going to probably be using a die to keep the Vampire Bat alive and not going to get that group tactics, you might as well.
He's not going to give himself the opportunity to block anything because he doesn't spend his main action to summon the Vampire Bat. But what that does is it prevents the Vampire Bat from being targeted by the Empyrean Mount's Battlemaster and just doing ineffectual counter damage to it. Like, pretty sharp. We're not going for face damage, is what we see there.
Unsurprising.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and control. No Such Method knows that the long game advantage is where he's gonna eat tonight, and so that's what he's out to do. You're almost certainly gonna see the chance of Transfusion try to kill a bat here. I think it'll be interesting to.
I think KC will just let it go through, and then play Mirror Spirit, get a 3/2 rather, and then be able to kill the exhausted Empyrean, or force a guard.
Yeah, he is gonna respawn here. Yeah. Well, one thing that old Shuffle Bus Neil said when he was playing Vampire Bat once is that if my opponent wants to give me 1 die 2 1s all day, I'll take it. I love using the Swarm ability on Vampire Bat Swarm. I can at all justify it. So
Well, it's probably a great thing. Also, this is very, very important. Hope has top of round, so having Vampire Bat Swarms up is probably what KC wants, to be able to duplicate. Yeah, it's going to keep it alive again. So spending effectively 4 dice on this Vampire Bat. And it'll be worth it because... Wait, hold on. Oh,
Void
played
Pulse.
Void. It was
Right.
his turn. Oh, he played
Yeah.
Void Pulse. Interesting. I'm sorry. I thought that he was being attacked. My bad. Well, that
That is
makes
an
a lot
interesting
more
attack.
sense.
That's an interesting attack. He makes, if the guy wants another Phoenix Attendant out on the field to keep the chance of transfusion going, he's going to have to spend 3 dice to go get it out of the discard pile in all likelihood, because there's only one other Phoenix Attendant in Demona's deck.
Yeah.
But you may end up with more like theoretical value at the end of that round if you had attacked into the Empyrean Mount instead. It's hard to know what was correct there, shutting down the Pact engine or getting the better value. It's interesting.
Unfortunately, this does look like a pretty sad state of affairs for Hope going into this next round. Like, you really want to see more damage on Demona than 5, considering that open. Like, I mean, that open's capable of, like, quite a lot. Oh, man. That is real bad. Wow.
Wow.
That might be a death knell, honestly.
That's really you can never count out a deck as explosive as this Hope. You really can't. But seeing the third fallen, I mean, you've got 18
Third Fallen
cards
and
left
second
in
transfusion, like, right off the bat.
That's demoralizing, man.
Yeah, that is real rough. Also, real quick, shout out to people in the chat. Tim, Nick, Brian B's in here, Josh, Waves. Yeah, lots of folks tuning in to watch the games. Appreciate it.
It's not in here. Anybody with graphs.
Yeah, any graph bringers to scare Charlotte away?
Graph bringer.
Graph bringer. Yeah, this is a pretty spooky thing going on here. We've already got like plenty of blockers out on the field. It's not going to be trivial for Hope to get rid of those. And the fact that any ally death just means like a complete swarm of Fallen and transfusion tokens online ready to just annihilate. It's pretty rough for Hope. See the Empyrean attack, choosing the Lightbringer.
Oh, Final Cry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's possible
of
all the decks in the top cut, Killers is the most burn focused, I believe. He is running 2 Molten Gold, 3 Final Cry, and 3 Sympathy Pain. So it's certainly possible that he could pivot to just burn from here on out and deal with Demona. If he can keep Demona off healing, 9 health isn't a whole lot when you're talking about, Molten Golds and Final Cries. So, ooh, and a Sympathy Pain. Yeah, this is looking up a little bit.
Yeah, you're also looking at 3 Fire Archers for the Hope as well. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's quite a lot of burn in this list.
They actually may end up putting Demona in a position where they have to go a little faster than they want to, and that that's one of the ways that you can win. I tell you what, I don't think we're going to drag out. This is either going to burn down quick, or Demona's going to quickly establish massive control of the board, and we're going to see a stompy finish. But either way, I feel like these guys are realizing that they're kind of in the thick of the mid game, like right now.
Yep.
And they're going to move. Somebody's going to be moving to close.
Yeah, I think that. So No Such has 7 HP remaining. There's 2 cards in hand from Cactus. Um, if either of these cards are more burn, I think that KC's looking pretty good at potentially closing this early in round 3. All he's got to do is draw into Molten Gold and one other burn card. Even just Molten Gold to like put No Such on 2, so that Sympathy Pain is death. If he doesn't draw healing, then that kind of puts him in a bind. It's just inevitability at that point. So this is going to be very draw dependent for KC. So we see the Ceremonial into Raptor Herder play. Set up a wide swing. There's only 2 blockers on the board right now, and one Fallen Book with a token. Oh yeah, there's Old Salt. Okay. But we could still see a duplicate Bat Swing here. That would clear all the blockers, but give a ton of tokens. So not sure he's ready to commit that whenever he doesn't have an opening to hit face.
A couple things worth noting here. One is Old Salt is
Good.
just incredibly prevalent in the top cut, as was noted earlier today. It's just all over the place. I think people have really latched on to Old Salt. It's got a ton of utility, and it's really beefy, and it interacts super well with this chant engine. But the other thing is that No Such Methods Demona got a really great second round draw, getting the second chant and the second Fallen Book. But it is worth noting that Cactus got a really great draw too. They did not start with Mirror Spirit in their first 5, and they ended up getting it anyway.
Yeah.
And so, Mirror Spirit really kind of wants to play a longer game. Maybe not in this deck. In this deck, I think you could easily call it a very aggressive piece. So I'm not entirely sure whether Killer Cactus is super thankful that he got the Mirror Spirit book, but it is worth noting he only has 1 copy of it, and he happened to grab it. So that's good.
It can make the end of round kind of awkward for No Such. Like if No Such wants to use units to like clear the board and then doesn't leave anything up to block with, then Mirror Spirit comes in, and so it just makes No Such have to play a little bit more carefully around it. That said, Killer only has dice for either Mirror Spirit or Duplicate plus something else in hand. It's possible that, and also that Killer just doesn't have a whole lot of mains left. Probably, yeah, he's gonna pass.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're looking at like spinning the Sympathy die on the Duplicate, and then the Nature die on like cover or something.
Or another Raptor Herder even. Let's look at the discards real quick. So actually there are no Raptor Herders left for KC. We've got 2 Raptor Herders in discard. We've got Sympathy Pain, 2 Sympathy Pain, 2 Final Cries in the discard. So a lot of the burn is already out. There's of course some Fire Archers and the 2 Molten Golds in the deck, but as for No Such, we got Phoenix Attendant, Meteors in the discard too. I mean, No Such has the opportunity to pull this Phoenix Attendant back if he thinks that he can spare the health for it. He's got plenty of dice. It really comes down to he needs a way to get an ally dead to charge all this up. If he can do that,
one thing
it's scary.
I was gonna say, I couldn't decide in the moment last round whether that attack on the Phoenix Attendant was better than the attack on the Empyrean Mount. I think I know now that it was the correct choice for KC to make there because of the, it's so easy to just overlook the self burn that you have to do to use a ceremony power dice to get somebody out of the discard. But in this case, when you've got 7 life left, you're gonna think twice about using a goat to go pull something out of the bin.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that KC knew that when he made that attack and got that Phoenix Attendant off the board.
He's only going to do it if he can guarantee that he gets transfusion tokens up and can like heal for 3 and delete the board. And if that happens, I think that would be as close to game as you can call. Killer really can't afford for No Such to heal at all at this point. He just can't. If he's gonna win with Burn in round 3 and Burn alone, since he can't really swing right now, he's gonna have to get lucky on the draw and hope that No Such can't heal anything. Because right now is kind of like that key window where he's in like Molten +2 spells range, or but like it's actually kind of he would. This is what I was saying earlier, like how this wasn't a great top of round 2 for Killer. He really would have liked to have seen No Such have a little bit more damage on him. 5 just is not a lot in this matchup. No Such as mounting the Fire Archer with a Pierian mount and setting up for like a pretty brutal board here to like swing, clear everything up and then get a top around swinging for like, 9.
Over whatever, yeah.
So
Well, and I think, if I'm No Such Method, I'm almost thinking that like maybe I have to try to do this as close to one shot as I can. I mean,
if you don't have the
come
healing
on.
and if you're worried about, dying to double Molten Gold and to Sympathy Pain next round or whatever, then yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Killer, you're done swinging, I think. I think you're straight up done. I think your plan here is to use the bodies that you make to block, and you're trying to finish this matchup off through Burn. I don't see any other way that Killer Cactus wins. And that's not to say that he's in a bad position. I don't think he's in a bad position. I think he could easily win this game. But his play pattern has shifted.
Yeah.
All he's going to do by swinging in at this point is feed the fire.
Yep.
And so I think if you're No Such Method, what you try to do is build a board that can almost literally kill him in one shot, so that you don't have to worry about the chip burn that's going to be coming your way. And so making something like an Empyrean Mount to get a ton of damage on the board seems like the right play to me. Everybody's making smart attacks here. That last attack was really smart. They both kind of are seeing where their outs are and they're playing to them.
Yeah, and Killer, of course, not countering, and then using the Sympathy class to bring the vampire back out. Duplicate,
if I was Killer,
duplicate online here. This is actually kind of scary.
Because you're going to 3 damage if you dupe and swing here. Dude, Jeremy, you have to do it. You have to dupe and swing.
It's 4 damage, actually.
Because
I'm not. I'm actually. I kind of wonder if that wasn't a misplay from No Such to swing the Old Salt in.
I think it was now.
Because now
that I see this.
Yeah, now you got duplicate swing for you're gonna get 4 damage in. He's gonna go to 3. It's Molten time.
He can't, and like he has to block you. He can't. It's literally lethal if he doesn't block.
Right.
So you're not even gonna get to attack with this Empyrean Mount. Holy crap, dude!
I'll be shocked.
Swing right now.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if that's not the play from Killer.
I'm gonna hold on. Let me dig through No Such's reaction spells. No Such has no reaction spells, so if he wants it, he has it.
Yeah, that was a very strange attack with the Old Salt, actually.
Yeah, now that I see it, yeah.
But that said, I mean, we don't know what that last card is in Demona's hand, do we?
Because whatever it is, it's not worth the 4 damage he's about to take.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is, if it's like, well, I have to look at the list. I don't know what kind of big ally. Yeah, totally gonna see that. There is a Grave Knight. There is a Grave Knight. So we could see a block here. Grave Knight swing into Hope, bringing Hope down to 8, and then a top of round swing for. Yeah, that could be lethal, actually.
Yeesh, man, what a bloodbath!
Yeah, if No Such has Grave Knight in hand, that's I think GG, because guard's broken. So you summon a Fallen, you kill the Raptor Herder, you swing with Grave Knight, and then you put him at lethal and top of round win.
10, yep.
And now he's at 3, so Sympathy Pain's not gonna do it. So that's
Let me
pretty
see.
insane
Hold
if
on.
that's the way this ends. That is
Could be Calamity. It also
wild.
could be Summon Calamity Golem. That's the other thing that it could be. Somebody pointed that out in chat. Let me look
He's running
at this
Calamity
other.
Golem? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, now with the Fire Archer too, that just makes it, you know, the math look even better.
Oh, but there's no Grave Knight.
Is it in the discard?
Well, no, he just yeah.
Oh, he Phoenix attended it.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's no Grave Knight. That's
Interesting.
really tough.
That's interesting. Okay, so
You're
Molten
gonna
is
get
dead. I mean, no, Molten is not dead because Phoenix Attendant is going to recover and then alleviate top of round probably. So he'll actually be at 4. Yeah, he'll be at 4. This is 9 here, so Killer can block.
this is tight. Is it lethal on board? No. Not quite.
No, it's not.
As far as reactions, yeah, anything in Killer Cactus's hand that's not burn is getting
Yep,
ditched.
absolutely.
Okay, we're talking about 5 cards in his hand, 8 cards in his draw pile. There are no molten golds in the discard.
Yeah.
So here's the alleviate.
Really, if it's Sympathy Pain and Molten in hand, then I think KC might have this
It's
locked
over.
down.
Well, and you know, it could also be the 3rd copy of Final Cry, and the minute that anything happens to Raptor Herder, you know, you're done.
Yep, Nick pointing out the Sympathy Power dice are up. The
Yep.
Ceremonial Power dice are up. I mean, that's a fantastic
Yeah,
roll if he
that's
drew
a
into.
fantastic roll. Wow.
This is so
Both of
close.
these players really played to their outs here. I think it's really unless Killer's deck like truly stabbed him in the back. I think he's probably got it.
I mean, that's the game you play when you play like a burn heavy list.
Yeah.
You're more subject
There's
to
if there's
variance.
2 copies of Molten still buried in his draw pile, he's gonna.
That would be
I
so
need to take a
sad.
break. I
Yeah.
need to take a break.
Oh, Blood Chains. Okay. So gonna be able to
That
heal
plays around
1.
Final Cry nicely.
Yeah. Gonna be able to heal 1 with the Chant Engine.
Yeah.
Feel like if he has Molten, it's probably getting slammed here, but I'm not sure on that.
Well, you can also Lightbringer, start getting that Sympathy Pain angle working.
Yeah, Lightbringer would be nice because it eats up the main action. So he would have to transfusion with the side and swing, and then you're not healing.
Mhm.
But it's not
Killer looks like he's using
really.
his side action. I'm not sure what on. He might be trying to decide if he wants to meditate from deck or hand. Yeah.
Old Salt from deck.
Yeah,
Summon
here's the
Lightbringer.
Lightbringer.
What did he
Yep.
meant though? Oh, okay, Divine. Got it.
Well, it's interesting in a situation like that. Yep.
Transfusion, and then a main to swing.
Yeah, swing at something. And either way, I mean, if you swing at face, it's Sympathy Pain. If you kill the Raptor Herder, it's Final Cry.
Yeah, that one copy of Calamity in there.
That could have been it right there. And if he has either of those cards and Molten in his hand, it's over right now. I don't think there's any way around that.
Is there a reaction waiting right now, or is no? Okay. Well, if he had Final Cry, it would have been played right there. So Sympathy Pain, there it is. Oh, that's
And here's
scary.
the
Is this it? Is this
is
game?
it starting?
Bloodchains.
No.
Wait, but Bloodchains Final Cry.
Final Cry. Bloodchains Final Cry.
He waited to play
Good
it.
job,
He waited
Killer.
to play it until he had lethal. That was so well done.
Wow.
Yeah, because why play
What
it
a
whenever you
game.
can't guarantee you're gonna win? Like if you do that,
So
then
smart.
yeah,
So
that's
smart.
so well done. Beautiful, beautiful game from
Woo.
both of these players. That was awesome.
Oh man, that's what you're looking at. Wow. I mean, you look at a top of round two, Bird's not dead. You look at a top of round two draw where
Hmm.
like Demona throws down the third copy of Summon Fallen and the second chant, and how demoralizing is that to
Yeah.
just know that you have no long game at all and you have to get out of here right now, and then to
Hmm.
make it happen without even
Yeah.
drawing molten gold. Like,
Yeah.
wow,
That was so well done. That was so well done.
brilliantly
Beautifully
piloted.
played. Yep.
Wow, on both sides. That was really, really good.
Yep. I do think that the old salt swing was a mistake. Leaving yourself
Probably.
open to that swing. That's what, clinched the game, honestly. Being able to duplicate. I wonder if like No Such just forgot that duplicate was on board or what. I want to know what No Such was thinking with that because open yourself up to the vampire bats and the raptor herder. That's 4 damage in. I mean, without that 4 damage, there's no way. I mean, he would have to get
Mm-mm.
so lucky with
No, there's no
draws.
way you get there.
Yeah. So that was pretty nuts. What a first game.
Oh man, they're starting off good. Starting off good.
Yeah. All right.
Oh
Well,
man, I'm really happy for No Such Method is an incredible player, and I love how far he's gone with Fallen. But I'm really excited for a couple of the ways that this changes the conversation, some of the conversations that are happening in the Ashes Discord. One conversation, I don't know if this will actually do anything to curtail this, but you know, we Fallen
mhm,
makes it to top eight, doesn't just run over the field. I think
mhm,
that's an important like conversational note for our community. But the other one and the one that's like my favorite is that I know how often Killer Cactus laments what happens when he gets into these cuts. And he's brought a good deck. He's played really well up to that point, and then he gets into cut and he feels like he doesn't perform up to his expectations. Well, now he's in the top four in the world
mhm.
championship off the back of some incredible play. And so for the 14th and final time, I think it's time to remind the world that Killer Cactus is a great Ashes player
Mhm.
and has proven it.
Second
Like just
most
an
recorded
incredible.
wins. Second most recorded wins in Phoenix League, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the
As
dude's
one of the
he's
fire
crazy
and
good. He's crazy good. I think that what it says about the Fallen conversation is that it doesn't say as a whole lot of grandiose things you want it to say. What it does say is that Fallen has weaknesses. Like you
yes.
can play very, very aggressive into that matchup, and because Fallen has this window of fragility early on where it's weak to a very, very fast open into a lot of burn. Like Fallen can totally fall apart if it doesn't draw well, if it doesn't find the heal, if it doesn't one little misplay can cost you the game. So it is not a deck without weaknesses. I don't also know if this says anything about burn in a big way, except for that I think it's like clearly still a great archetype. Brennan is sort of struggling, as we've seen in a lot of games, a lot of test matches. It's just not finding its footing, but Hope is still alive and well. Tristan and Leo can still go really fast, pack a lot of burn, and so yeah, I think that this just goes to show that there's still, a very wide variety of archetypes alive and well in Ashes right now.
another thing that I think it says, and this is not intended as a slight to No Such at all, and he's got really thick skin. I know that he won't take it that way, but I do think that more than anything, we say all the time that Ashes is a game where the single biggest factor in the outcome of a match is the piloting.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw, like, we get into a top 8 in Worlds, and No Such makes, like, there's a lot of arguments for lines that they both could have taken throughout the game, right? But you and I can both point to one attack that we're pretty sure is a mistake, and he loses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's all it takes is
Yeah.
one little slip, and
Yep.
that's all it is. And then you have a piloting discrepancy, and the better pilot wins. And so, there's so much talk about deck archetypes and matchup and everything, but like, you have to play your rear end off to win these games. That's really what it boils down to more than anything.
Yep. Yeah, this is collection, you know. It's the best of the best. It's not even just the
Take free
best
ball.
tournament players. It's the people who, are winning these games week after week after week, testing and like the way I see it is like, some people are like really good at taking tests. When they perform really well under pressure, they get in there on test day and they kill it. Other people not good at taking tests, but like they're still incredibly smart people. Maybe, super well read, super knowledgeable on what they're doing. It's just like tournaments are more of a weak spot for them. Like what I love about collection, what we did with Phoenix League is like that you get people from both camps. You get the people who are like really good at just, playing in a laid back kind of casual environment and just like, whittling away at their lists and like making them better and better, and winning in like that kind of way and like tallying up those wins. I mean, you gotta think about the fact that like we didn't have a full 52 weeks here. Like we took weeks off for Phoenix pods. We stopped Phoenix League a couple weeks back. Like 29
Started in
wins.
February.
29 wins is a lot. That's like the vast majority of your games.
Yeah.
So
Yes, it is.
pretty wild.
Yeah, it's an interesting analogy that you make there. And the one other thing that's worth noting is that, like, and yeah, like, kind of predictable. Like, a lot of the people who qualified through more than just Phoenix Win were the people, Phoenix League, I mean, were the people who made the top 8. But a really notable exception, I think, is Waves, who went 4-1 in Swiss and had I think he was third in the seeding in the top cut, and his only qualifying action this year was his 14 wins in the Phoenix League, and he's here right in the thick of top cut with an incredible looking Echo deck running Gravity Training of all things. And so, that's a guy who, he didn't make cut in a tournament up to this point, but here he is in top cut in Worlds. Like, that's probably the thing that I'm proudest of with the structure of Phoenix League, is just that we've really leveled the playing field for people who engage in different ways. I would love if I was on the other side of the fence and I was being able to qualify for Worlds with Phoenix League, because tournaments stress me right the heck out, and it's like my least favorite thing in the world. And just being able to like play a chill but serious game every week, like when I have gotten to jump into Phoenix League, I really love those games. And so I think it just makes it more accessible to different kinds of people with different strengths, and I'm really proud of that.
For sure. Yeah, I agree 100%. We're just killing a little bit of time until 9 p.m. Central, when we'll kick off with another top cut game. Who is playing in that? You can tell everyone while I go and get a water.
Playing in our top cut game this evening are a couple of Ashes legends. One is Shadowfire, a player who has brought a really cool Koji deck to this tournament. I love Koji. I've often said that if Koji had a 4th spellboard slot, I would literally play nobody else. He's so cool, and I think this is the first time, or one of the first times, that he has made cut. I know No Such Method did it a while back with a Koji Fallen and he's had a little bit of other success, but certainly not anything to the degree of making top cut at Worlds. So it's really cool what what Shadowfire has done with this Koji deck. And say a little prayer for him because he's up against an Ashes legend from way, way back, Mr. Brian B. He has brought a Herald deck this evening. You're talking about one of the strongest players in the history of Ashes and one of the strongest Phoenixborn in the history of Ashes. And so, Shadowfire is my guy. He's a beloved pillar of the community, but it is 100% safe to say that if he takes a win tonight, it will be kind of a coup. I mean,
It will be an upset a little bit, yeah.
You're talking about Brian on Herald, like
Yeah.
that just is what it is in this community, and so I'm really excited to see what Shadowfire does to go up against that. One thing that's really cool about Shadowfire's deck is that it is doing something a little off kilter, a little unexpected. And I think that in situations like this, if you take an offbeat deck and you just pilot it really well and you've built it thoughtfully, you can almost be at an advantage against, a deck like Brian's Herald, which is doing some more conventional things, because your lines of play get a little bit easier, a little bit more difficult to predict, and that can be the difference in like getting that piloting discrepancy online that we talked about.
Yep.
So maybe Shadowfire's got some like really out of left field play lines that he's hoping will take him over the top tonight.
Maybe. Jankyard is in the chat. I believe that is Killer Cactus.
What up?
It may not be, but
take a
shower. It's one of the three. I'm looking forward to you guys watching this VOD back over because I had a lovely tribute to you in the beginning. If you can call it that. Oh, absolutely, Nick. He says, okay, so two things. First, Nick says Shadowfire has the goods to beat Brian. Never count him out. Shadowfire is incredible. He's such a good player.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Nick said Phoenix League is one of the best things to happen in the Ashes community. Thank you so much for saying that. We are just really happy to have been a part of this. Like, again, we had some missteps. We had some like things we had to sort out.
Including in this stream.
Including in the top cut, yeah. And in the stream even. But like, you guys were so patient with us and like understood our vision and what we were trying to accomplish and came alongside us. And so this is as much your all's event as it is ours. Like we're just here to like facilitate. It looks like our competitors are available, their decks are selected, and we're gonna get right into this match. So let's switch over here for our second top cut match of the evening. Shadowfire on Koji versus Brian B on Herald. Shadowfire with 19 Phoenix League wins and a top placement in Phoenix Pods 1. And Brian B with 21 Phoenix League wins, Phoenix Pods 2 placement, and Ashes Blitz tournament placement. Some of the best of the best, y'all.
I think this is the only match. This might be the only match of the week where both players are qualified in multiple different ways. No, that's not true, actually. But clearly just a lot of pedigree that these guys are bringing.
Absolutely. Casey's saying he had to go lay down. His heart was still beating hard. I get it, dude. Yeah. Very, very well played. That was an awesome
game. And watch the VOD Killer Cactus, but we have not been able to praise your play profusely enough. You played your rear end off on that one, dude. Great work.
While they work on picking out their first fives, we can talk a little bit about the lists that they're bringing. Shadowfire, kind of an unusual dice spread here with Koji, having the illusion in there. But that illusion is for Miss Tease, Miss Spirits, and Miss Typhoon, the card that I love and love seeing. Oh, yeah, hang on. Sorry, I forgot to tell them that they're good to go. But yeah, he's got a it's a very swarmy like swing list. Like there's no burn in here at all, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, there's 2 sympathy pains. So it's just a ton of wide units. You got Huntmaster, Raptor Herder, Rising Horde, Wolf Pack Leader, Miss Spirits, like everything summons multiple bodies here. Um and Sleeping Widows, of course, as well. So like this list is just incredibly wide. And then on the other hand, though, you do have Herald, and it is a Transfusion Herald with Adaptodon and a very strange assortment of books, actually. We got Adaptodon, Frostback, Seafoam, and Turtle Guard. Kind of an unusual spread, but it's still a Herald deck through and through. Lots of allies, lots of removal spells, and just a ton of board control. So it's going to be the sort of late game control deck versus the Swarm, which is sort of a inverse mirror of what we saw last time.
These decks share something with the field. They're both pretty. They have tricks and stuff like that for sure. But the two most played dice types, magic types in the field were nature, where there were 48 nature dice across the whole tournament, and then ceremony, where there were 46 of those across the whole tournament. And so you do see that nature and ceremony makes up the majority of the dice pool for both of these decks.
Mhm.
So in that sense, they're very on theme for this tournament. It's Miss Spirit out of the gate. People don't like that card, Jeremy. People don't like Miss Spirit. Did you know?
It's weird. Uh, I would say for a long time I didn't like that card, and these days I'm thinking, man, it's just really nice to be able to summon 2 units in one action. Like, it's kind of good.
We talk a lot about the cards that do it um, on the ally side, and obviously those are cheaper. But you know, a lot of times you'd pay 2 for a Raptor Herder just to save your butt. You know, so
Hmm.
like I definitely see the appeal. It's also worth noting that 2 little guys is not Harold's idea of a good time. He wants to find big, huge prey
Right.
and take it down. So you know, Miss Spirit, Harold, that's just gonna piss Harold right off.
Waves asking if Brian is the only one to overload their spell board in the top cut, and I believe that he is. Which is, yeah, that's true. It used to be a very common thing that you would see in competitive lists, and seems to have kind of fallen out of favor now. But Brian B is still at it. It's pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
that's true. He is the only one. So there's no telling. We see Adaptodon.
It was
Excuse me. We see
definitely, yeah. Nick saying it was a big trend due to open list, which it's interesting that we, having switched this up to open list mid tournament kind of benefits Brian in that way. Um,
Yeah,
he gets to play a little bit
but
more mind games with his first 5 than Koji does, but
yeah, for sure. However, there is another way that Brian built his list that was a little bit more inclined to kind of favor the closed list deck building mindset, which is that he has like a lot of one ofs to kind of catch people off guard. And
yep,
so, in that sense, the switch to open list hurts him a little bit because he doesn't have as much surprise
surprise
factor.
factor,
It's
yeah.
kind of a mixed bag there. So we see just lots of little dudes
Yep,
going on. The Adaptodon comes out. That's going to be interesting.
yeah. Fire
Hmm.
adapts, kill the Misty. I think it could have gone either way, but like
Yeah,
I think that
yeah,
I think that he's gonna want to clear as much as he can here because like there's gonna be a lot of units coming out in just a short minute.
everything that Shadowfire is playing makes multiple bodies. So,
Yep.
and you know he's got Wolfpack leader coming down the pipe too.
Yeah, it'll probably get played pretty late. Um, I think, yeah, Brian does have a one of Ice Trap in this list. Could totally see that being a first five pick, knowing that he's going into Koji.
Yeah.
So,
So here's an interesting thing. Shadowfire's deck list is called Double Vision. So far, he's played Miss Spirit, he's played Rising Horde, he's played Salamander Monk. All of those make multiple bodies,
mhm,
and he's got 5 dice and 2 cards left in hand. So it's entirely possible that these last 2 cards are Wolfpack Leader and Huntmaster.
yep.
Uh, if that's the case, and he brought this like almost memey like 10 bodies in a first 5 deck, I'm gonna be very into that.
Well, I also I thought it was kind of I'll admit I think Shadowfire has won the competition for best name deck because not only does everything in his deck summon multiple bodies, but also Shadowfire's vision disability being kind of a it's like a play on words there. There's like multiple meanings here. Um
That is worth
cracks me
noting.
up.
It's a good chance to introduce the world to Shadowfire a little bit. Shadowfire is kind of one of our biggest success stories because he started playing early in the life of Reborn, and he has a visual impairment. He plays via Ashteki,
Mhm.
but he needs a screen reader, I believe, to do so. I'm not entirely sure how all the technology works on his end, but Shadowfire's presence in the early Shuffle Bus community was really what prompted the big switch from Tabletop Simulator to Ashteki so that
Mhm.
Shadowfire would have access to the chat log. He's the reason that we have flexible rules for time limits in tournament cut games because it's not fair to him because he has to use the screen reader for him to be held to the same like timing standards as everybody else. One of the big reasons that we handled collection as a kind of a multiple day round tournament instead of a single day event is that we knew that Shadowfire would need the potential to have more than an hour on the clock for his rounds, and we wanted to be accessible to him because we knew that he was going to be a factor in collection. And so I think Shadowfire is not only just a great representative for his community, but I'm very proud of how our community has responded to his level of engagement by saying, hey, we don't care what it takes, we're going to make sure that you can get in here and play. And
Yep.
so and
And
now he's
that's
in top cut at Worlds and is making puns about his. That's the other thing about Shadowfire is he will just relentlessly dog you with vision jokes, and I walk in all the time. It's the other night
uh
I try to stay out of voice chat with Shadowfire because he's just constantly luring me into traps about like seeing and pisses me off. He's so good at it. Super clever dude.
I guess we
All
should
right, we
commentate the game now. So we get
we should probably go and take care.
we see a hunter's mark on the only like real hunter's mark target. So kind of that
Frostback Bear
line
is still
plays
good.
itself a little bit, but
The bear is the Huntmaster is not gonna be able to get rid of the bear, but thanks to Hunter's Mark, the bear is gonna go ahead and kill that Huntmaster.
yep.
So just I mean you can see with the damage that Brian has structured his first 5 in his deck around just making really, really good trades and then taking Chance of Transfusion where he can to get those damage tokens off his units. So he's playing real fundamental ashes right now.
Mhm.
It's cool to see.
I would be shocked if Brian B did not first five an ice trap. And if he did, then this is looking like a pretty solid opening round um, for Brian. Like he's
Right.
cleared out a lot of these threats. Oh,
Mm,
consider me shocked. What?
yeah, it's interesting. I was really expecting that ice trap as well
Huh.
because um, Koji does have sleeping widows, but other than that, there's not a lot of ways for him to punish getting a value trade and ice trapping his Wolfpack leader.
Hmm.
But that's not what Brian chose to do here. He chose to bring the Raptor Herder.
So what's it? Oh, Turtle Guard is his last card then, probably. You got the book tax plus the
Well, but Harold's out of spellboard space, man.
oh, right. Wait, hold on. What could that be? Duelist? You know,
Maybe.
Duelist or
Old
Old
Salt.
Salt? Duelist or Old Salt, yeah. Probably Old Salt. I don't know why I'm thinking about this hard.
This is man.
I don't
It's
know
so
why I'm thinking
crazy.
about this hard.
We're back in open list like shuffle bus days here. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Old Salt. I see. Casey's
Yeah.
like, it's Old Salt. I know. Yep. Yeah. But you know what? What are we here for if not wild speculation on things that we obviously know are true?
Yeah. I think it's a knowledge seeker.
Yeah, he's trying to set up.
Yeah. I think he's cheating.
I think he's cheating.
Oh man.
Arizend
We
would
are
like actually be pretty legit in this matchup. That would be kind of fun.
it would, yeah. The commentating has gotten fast and loose. I apologize to the peanut gallery. I'm a little too tired for this. Is really what's going on. So we really gave the No Such Method and Killer Cactus game our
The
all,
energy.
and now we're just getting into Harry Carey territory. It's also just these. I mean, you guys can see we almost don't even have to say anything. Like they're just duking it out in the trenches right now. Just both of them brought a ton of bodies and a ton of ways to mess with each other, and they're just going bop 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 bop. Like it's really cool to see just all the duking. It's crazy. Common Amongst Spirit, of course, recently errated. This little angel lizard boy can block, but he can't live for more than one round. He's gonna go away.
And no attack, so he can't trade either. But yeah, you know, I think it's interesting. I've been saying that last card in Shadow's Hand is almost certainly Wolfpack, but like it doesn't have to be because of this open list. Like, there's definitely a lot more mind games going on here. He very well could have, you know, made it something else. I'm not sure what, but could have. But yeah, I think this is a pretty decent round one for Harold. He did not first five the
Well, maybe he did, but he decided in the moment it was better to use that frog to get Donnie off the board. Very interesting.
That's possible. He also could have let me see. Nothing. There's nothing else it could be.
There's nothing. Okay.
The ceremonial die.
right.
I mean, Fester, I guess. Fester would be pretty cool. Let's see.
Yo, it could be a Fester.
Fester would be a pretty clutch little first
it
five
would really
there.
even out.
Yeah.
Dude, that's exactly what it is.
That's actually kind of sick. That's a
all right.
That's a sick play. I'm not gonna lie, because you're totally expecting.
And now there's not even any damage to like transfusion off. Like,
yeah,
that's a really cool play, especially if you know that your opponent is packing Old Salt.
Look how fast this turned around. Like literally 20 seconds ago, I was like, "This looks pretty good for Harold," and now it's like, he, you know, Fallen's gonna clear out this Raptor Herder and the Ritualist, and then he's gonna have. I guess these are both fleeting, but.
And I tell you what, like,
be up on board at least.
if that's a line that Shadowfire has been using consistently to like leave those last two dice and its Phoenixborn ability up so that you think it's Wolfpack leader and you're playing around it, and instead he's just planning to freaking ping Fester you, like, that's real good.
Yeah, dude, that was such a clutch first five choice. Like, and you know, kudos to Brian too for not first fiving the ice trap, just being confident that he can handle a Wolfpack open without it. This is all kind of top level first fiving happening here.
Yeah, it is worth noting, like, the board looks like Shadowfire took a real a real decisive win here. But two of these units are fleeting. The
Hmm.
Panther Spirit and the Salamander Monk Spirit are going to go away. So that's worth noting. And also, not a lot of damage on either Phoenixborn here. They've kind of just been duking it out. I would definitely give the long-term spell board advantage to Brian.
Mm.
Because he's got the Bears and the Adaptodons, and both of those units dunk pretty hard on the 1/1s that Shadowfire is bringing out. And so, I have to admit, this is making me a little bit nervous because
But
of Shadowfire. We have a time limit on this game, and we are at the end of round one and pretty much coming back to where we started. So we could go for a while tonight. That's for sure.
pointing out from chat that one really nice thing about this is that Shadow's able to clear out all these allies to get transfusion targets off while it's already charged, so they're not actually giving that value. But Shadow actually opting to go for face damage instead might be the smarter play, because, Herald has this kind of late game inevitability here. Can like clear away all your units and stuff. You kind of gotta take whatever opportunities to get damage in that you can. So yeah, it's an interesting choice. But here we are, top of round 2. 2 damage on Herald. So Shadow's ever so slightly up. The board states even. And we see Adaptodon coming down with a fire adaptation. Yep. Now this is where the game gets really interesting, because I think both of these decks are kind of reliant on draw in like different ways. One thing that kind of stands out to me from Shadowfire's list is that he's got 3 copies of Call Upon the Realms. Clashing Tempers does nothing if you don't have a board state set up. Like you kind of need to get units back out on the board, and it's good that he can summon multiple of them at a time, but Herald can like just ping them away as you're summoning them. So he's keeping you off Clashing Tempers if you are behind on board, which Shadow is right now.
Right.
It's possible that Shadow could draw pretty poorly, is what I'm trying to get at. You really need to be drawing into those good allies to make this deck work. Meanwhile, Herald, having so many one-ofs, may draw into the wrong tools at the wrong time. So there's a lot of potential here. Oh, we see a Channel Magic from Brian. Drawing a card.
Yeah, he's packing 2 copies of that.
Yeah, the healing is pretty clutch.
It is. I remember during playtest, just the like cycle through nature of Channel Magic had a few of us really spooked. We were like, is this the kind of like, is this just 3x in every deck forever, and you use it to like thin out your deck and heal? Like there were a lot of us who thought that we may have sneakily been printing a major mistake. I remember there was even credence given to the idea that it would be labeled a PVE only card. And then we started trying to break it, and we didn't get to spend a lot of time on it, but we couldn't really find a way to break it out of the gate. And so we just kind of crossed our fingers and sent it out into the world. And I actually think it ended up in a really sweet spot. I see a lot of people use it, but it's definitely not so good that it ends up in every deck forever, where it's just like constantly thinning out the rest of your cards. But there are some decks like this Herald that don't want to meditate a lot, need a little bit more HP reach, and it makes a ton of sense for them. Personally, I like it better than Call Upon the Realms. I would rather. I know it costs a die, but I really value the draw and the heal that it gets you.
I agree. Nick's laughing in the chat, but like legitimately, we were afraid that we were printing too much healing, so like it was a concern. But the reason, and here's why I like it better than Call Upon the Realms. It's nice that we have this comparison right here. If Koji drew into 2 Call Upon the Realms, that's like backbreaking in this matchup.
Yeah,
like absolutely backbreaking. But if they were Channel Magic, even though you go down on dice, which is not like great efficiency. You could heal, and you get to replace that card, which is why I like it better. Because one of the things that I hate about Call Upon is that they can just be such dead draws, and then you're playing with a lower hand size. And in aggressive decks that I tend to want to play, like that can be pretty rough. You're gonna see a Clashing Tempers here. Pretty legit Clashing Tempers actually, because there are multiple Ice Adept targets here. Probably going Phoenix Attendant with
and
one.
Ice adaptation into Phoenix Attendant is probably one of the best use cases for both Clashing Tempers and Adaptedon. I don't. It's really hard for me to conjure a unit that Ice Adaptation dunks on more than the Phoenix Attendant. Like Phoenix Attendant
Yeah.
A8's Ice Adaptation.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. Where did the ping go?
What a card. Where did it go?
Fire Adept.
Attaches Ice Adaptation, Mist Spirit, uses Fire Adaptation. I don't see where the ping went. Chat, did we miss something?
I'm confused.
Yeah, there should have been a ping on Fire Adaptation, but none of these units have a damage on it. That's weird. Anyway, you see, we over the course of the last round, you've really seen everybody just kind of like gearing up, putting some guns on the table, and that Clashing Tempers was really the first time that we had any like movement of aggression, anything like that.
I'm asking in case it's a Nash Tucky bug.
Sure.
I'm not. This is kind of a tricky situation because if it was just a misplay, I don't really want to say anything. But in case it was an Ashteki bug, and since it's Shadowfire,
yeah,
working with the it was intentional.
Oh, dude, Shadowfire is just better than us. He doesn't want to fuel the freaking transfusion.
I thought it already had a token, but yeah. Fate Reflection.
Dude. These players, man, like...
Yeah.
These players are so good.
Yeah, that's sick.
I'll just deny myself value on Clashing Tempers because I don't want to get dicked by Fate Reflection. Wow.
Yeah. Or Widows is a good point too, but
dude,
no Widows in the Herald list, but yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I don't want to necessarily do that because it could, put players in an awkward position where they give up, information that they don't necessarily want to give up about the way they're playing. But in this case, I really just didn't want it to be a misclick that got forgotten about or something. But or
worth noting, looking at these two lists, neither one of these players have just a ton of reach. Shadowfire has a couple of sympathy pains, but the way that they're playing and how this is all shaking out and the way that the lists are, these players have to get it done on the ground. They have to swing to win. There's just not enough reach on the burn or anything else to really make it happen. And so, especially given the amount of removal at the Herald's disposal, given the amount of bodies at the Koji's disposal, this is a game that I fully expect at this point to go to fatigue. These guys are going to be, it's going to be a slugfest, because neither of the lists are set up in such a way to like go past big walls of units, and they're both going to be able to field those pretty much no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now I feel bad for asking, but it is what it is.
No, those guys are in voice chat. I'm sure that they'll catch anything. We'll stay out of their way.
So,
and it looks like they've got Lark in there helping out too.
Let's figure out this board state. So, Shadowfire staying pretty consistently up on damage against Herald. the boards, um, not, I would say not quite even. I think Harold's got an advantage here with the Phoenix Attendant being out. That's something that Shadowfire is going to have to find ways to deal with, if not outright remove, then keeping it exhausted with more and more clashing tempers. But there's only 2 of those conjurations in the conjuration pile, so he can do it at most one more time without getting that Mist Spirit recycled. Gonna play it again. Interesting.
Insane.
Interesting.
I'm interested if he uses this to like facilitate a swing.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason you would, for sure, is to get some damage in, exhausting the Ritualist, swing in for 3, right?
Yeah, he can also
Oh no,
ping now.
the Salamander can't swing for ice. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he can ping now because he's got these guys both loaded up with health here. They both would not die to a Fate Reflection ping at this point. But it still looks like he's going to throw it away. He's not going to hand Harold baseball bats. That's really interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, just doesn't want Fate Reflection at all.
Yeah. I tell you what though, like he can't do this forever. He's done 2 Clashing Tempers this round. He's only got 1 more in the deck, and there's obviously no way to get those out of the bin. So he's got some good tempo plays here, but we're only in round 2. He's got a long way to go. And he doesn't just have endless Clashing Tempers to get those fast tempo.
He does have Widows though.
He does.
Yeah, this is a really interesting match. it's like, we're gonna see a bear probably with these last dice. Probably, we'll see. It's hard to imagine more value than a Frostback Bear out of those 2 dice, given the board state right now. But
for sure.
Old Salt comes down, Mist Spirit gone, and depending on what Shadowfire has in hand here, again, like I was talking about earlier, like this deck could be kind of draw dependent. Depending on what he has in hand here, we could see like a pretty strong bit of damage here from Harold, swinging in for like at least 2 with the Frostback Bear, if not more, if there's a way that he can clear Salamander Monk. Maybe, I don't know what he has for 1-time die though. What does he have in here? No way to clear this without and summon the bear at the same time, so. Guilt Link would be nice. That is very true.
Oh.
1 of in the list, so it's maybe not super likely. I feel like he would have played it by now if he had it, but maybe I'm wrong. Needs to kill the Adaptodon, says Nick. Yeah. Shadowfire passes with 3 dice up. Just waiting to see if he'll commit to the bear before he spends anything. Curious what he has in hand. He may just literally not have ways to spin dice. Like, that could totally be a thing.
It's possible. Let me look at his list again.
Because it's like, he can't play Huntmaster. He could play, a Herder, Rising Horde, Wolfpack. He could definitely play those allies, but he can't play Huntmaster. And if it's like Call Upon the Realms, Call Upon the Realms Huntmaster, then that's like we'll see because
Sure.
they just passed and went into the next round, so I'm curious to see what he
Second round
discards.
changeover.
Let's take a look at the discard piles and see what each of them get rid of.
I'm really curious about the decision to not swing bear there if chat wants to maybe illuminate me a little bit. I know these guys are living in the year, 3023, so I assume that they're smarter than me, but at the moment I can't figure out why you don't swing
Maybe Sympathy
bear there.
Pain, because like let's be real here, Harold's not. This list is probably not super concerned with winning fast. Like he's probably confident that he can build a significant enough board to like kill in 2 rounds, like swing, swing this round, swing top or next. So like maybe he's just looking for any opportunity he gets to like let Shadowfire waste dice and not be able to do damage. We see a Guild Link discarded. So he had the Guild Link, but he didn't play it. Huh.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, guys, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I think part of that is that he knows that Harold is going to be able to keep getting bodies out to where he won't be able to get what he wants with Guilt Link.
Yeah,
Probably.
it might just be like, oh, it's just gonna feed transfusion, so why even bother type of thing. Like kill a ritualist with it, like that's not really worth it.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is. Yeah, it's like he can't remove the bad options enough for Guilt Link to be worth playing. So he's just looking for allies now. He probably is just like, I need more allies. I need widows. He probably really wants widows.
Carl does not have massive growth. He does not
Carl?
have.
You mean Brian?
Oh, excuse me, Brian. Yeah, Brian does not have massive growth. Brian does not have infuriate, and so he's not looking to go huge bypass with these bears. There's our first Wolfpack leader.
Yep.
Great card. Obviously, good enough to change Koji's topography enough to get him into the top cut.
Yep.
Wolfpack
No
leader
ice.
is a heck of a card.
No ice trap. So the one of ice trap in his deck's probably not in his hand. I can't see too much of a reason for not playing it there.
Ice Town costs Ice Clown his town crown, something like that.
Yep. KC says mark, swing, ritualist, and consume. Yep, that would be certainly a strong play. Marking the Salamander Monk over the Wolfpack leader. I've officially given up.
No, that's not, well, not quite. He marked before he passed last round. So that Hunter's Mark was actually already on the board.
Oh, was it?
So he has to get it off the board.
Oh,
so
okay. This one. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
You were about to.
I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna go back to my graphs now. Yeah. they made more sense. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
no consume soul. That's kind of big.
There you go. And then immediately you get the Hunter's Mark over on the Wolfpack leader. So yeah, you had to get that done.
Yep.
So Wolfpack leader is going to get to make a wolf here. It's interesting to see if he'll go ahead and use this Koji token on him.
He might be waiting. If he has a second Wolfpack leader in hand, he might wait until this one's dead, like, and play the other one. Yeah. Like, because this one's already marked. It's going to be dead soon, so he probably even wants to swing with it now if he can. Yeah, swing at the Adaptodon probably. Get the value out before it gets eaten by something like... Yeah, exactly.
Arf, arf. Woof, woof.
So earlier in the game, KC started a Herald heal counter, which I'm very interested in seeing how far that goes up. Because right now I think it's just at 1. Harold is healed 1 this game. Manual mode coming out.
Fixing here.
What happened? I missed it.
Oh, he attacked the Adaptodon, and it looks like Brian declined the counter attack damage. Excuse me, y'all. Looks like Brian declined the counter attack damage, and then went back
Gotcha.
on that decision to go ahead and get the Wolfpack leader off.
Yep. Okay.
They're over here in chat, so who knows what kind of crazy conspiracies they're cooking up.
Okay. That states the Raptor Herder for a frog. Not a whole lot in this deck that requires nature power dice, actually. It's just like the Hunt Masters. So he might just be having that online for a ping or a fester. He may be wanting to, well, the other nature was already on a power, so might just be taking an opportunity while he's got a side action to go ahead and get the dice up now, so he's not in a bind later where he might need it.
Yeah.
Summon Adaptodon, the Fire Adept.
Yep. What did he ping off? He pinged the
Misty.
Mist Spirit.
Yep.
That buffed up Misty. Yep. Normally you see 2 nature power dice and you're thinking about Molten Gold, but we happen to know that neither one of these players has Molten in their list.
Yep. Kind of weird, but it's true.
Weird, but they're in top 8, not us.
Yep. Almost no burn between these two lists, actually.
No, very little reach. They're really trying to get it done on the battlefield. And I feel like Ashes is a game where that's going to work a lot of the time, where it will tend to like do this and kind of like almost stalemate you as if you're up against a player that's trying to do that exact same thing. I'm trying not to lose hope here, but this is definitely giving like little flashbacks to the famed 3-hour final where we had 2 Herald lists that just went on and on and on because they could just trade with each other so efficiently, and there wasn't a lot of reach beyond fatigue damage, and both players were being super conservative with their cards.
They're taking their time, but if you look at you look at Brian's board and like how much damage is actually on the board. No. And then you look at like how many dice Shadow has left. Like there's still like a lot that can happen in this round. These boards could get pretty big out of nowhere. They both have a lot of dice left. So they're carefully navigating this back and forth because they both care about the battlefield so much. But at some point the swinging is going to happen, and I feel like when it does, it's going to be big swing, game over is going to be the kind of situation. Salamander Monk coming down from Shadow. You see an attack against it with the Old Salt.
Yep. Brian looking to get value trades wherever he can so he can just chance a transfusion and ride that free damage and keep his board down. It is interesting to talk at this point about who has the top of next round.
Oh yeah.
And it's Brian.
Uh-huh. That's what I'm saying, man. It's like
and he seems to know that.
He's got another bear book up and a fistful of cards and 8 unspent dice, and he's way ahead on board right now. If he can just
and at this point, every single unit on Koji's board is fleeting. Every single one.
Yep. So like he just needs to set up like a good top around swing that will close it out or get it close enough to close out that like you know that's what I'm saying. I'm like this game, even though it's been kind of slow plotting so far with just like vying for board position, what it usually ends up happening in these types of games is like uh you'll just have a swing back to back. Whoever's if they have a significant board advantage and initiative coming up, they'll just it'll happen so fast. But you do have to get it just right because you can't rely on any burn. You really have to like ensure that you uh have that lethal because swinging wide is kind of risky if you don't have burn. Like you need to make sure it's locked in. Miss Spirit coming down. Maybe another initiative. Get that Star Wars Unlimited talk out of here. Look, it's basically the same thing in that scenario, so I will not get that talk out of here. That is one of the weaknesses here of this Koji list, though, is that like your board is so transient. Like if you can deal with the permanents and like you have all these fleetings and fades, like suddenly you're it just all disappears and you're like, well, I have no blockers now, so and I think Brian knows that. I think he's the Herald deck, he's got all these control tools, he can just like, I'm just gonna pick away at all your units that won't die at the end of the round, and whenever I finally have a moment when they all go away, I'm just gonna swing at you really hard. So
I think it will be interesting. Shadow declined that second Misspirit. I think that it's an interesting choice here,
we did
and
see
it really.
the Consume Soul last round. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah, so no, sorry, we did overlook the Consume Soul, didn't we? Chance Transfusion goes ahead and gets some movement. He's going to use the bear to pick on this Misspirit. It looks like. I think that's definitely an interesting choice.
Bear over
But
the
I could see why he would want to keep that Phoenix Tin alive, keep that Fire Adapter alive. Because Shadowfire is threatening pings and stuff over there. I was gonna say something. What am I? Was I saying? Oh, what I'm saying is I think that this attack on this Mistspirit is really testing the waters to see what Shadowfire has in his hand, because at this point both of his books are exhausted, and so any other unit presence this round has got to come from hand, and that's exactly where Brian wants to be.
I wonder if he's attacking with the bear to play around widows. I don't know.
I would be too greedy for this. I would want to start the damage going and send Bear to
The
face and all that.
patience,
But
the
the
patience of
patience
these
is
players
real.
is nuts. Yeah,
They're
maybe.
really making that they don't miss any value at all.
Yeah, he's got the frog, so widows is a little less scary. You main action, you save your side. Yeah, both of them are playing so patiently. Kind of crazy. Herald's got 2 battlefield slots left. So 7 battlefield. Phoenixborn. Koji has basically infinite battlefield.
Yeah. Worth noting, if Shadowfire gets into any kind of trouble here, he can always ceremony die back a Wolfpack leader or a Raptor herder.
I this whole time, like, I don't think I ever thought about the fact that you could just get more Wolfpack leaders. You just goad them back.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never thought that's like totally that's a thing. Of course you
Well,
can.
they're too basic, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's add another one to the list of weird nights.
Meditate Clash Tempers for a Time Power. Bear coming down.
Thanks to Cactus, the Herald heal count is at 4.
Oh, that's what HHC means. Got it.
That or it's a drug.
Yeah, I'm like,
I just noticed that your little like thumbnail icon in the bottom of your YouTube is just your face transparent.
it
That
is.
pleases me greatly.
It is. You know, uh, spared no expense. You know, I pay, I paid, I paid a top dollar for that avatar, and I'm gonna use it everywhere I get to. Huntmaster coming down from Shadow.
Consume soul, of course, means that
Yeah, marked
Hunter's
gray.
Mark is ready to go.
Yes, it is.
See what happens there. If he does take it, he's going to have to use his side action on it, which does mean that Widows
Widows.
it's a little bit more dangerous. So we'll see what the Shadowfire does here.
This might be the best opportunity he has for Widows, but
Yeah,
it's also not a great opportunity for Widows because, like, look at I mean, Brian's got blockers.
You're just still going to take just so much damage at the top of the next round. Shadowfire does not Widows.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Phoenix Attendant up and he's got Bear up to block, like, and he can ping. I don't know. It seems kind of rough to play
if he
Widows
has
right
Wrath in hand, if he has Wrath in hand, he does it ASAP and just blows you out. So
Yep.
yep, these guys are
Yeah.
games. We have less overall damage than we did at the start of the round, so that's a cool trend.
we're going backwards, everyone.
You're literally going backwards.
I mean, yeah. Harold looking at easily having 8 damage top of round swing though. Like all these units are going away. I'm not sure what he has in the way of buffs.
It's seriously so funny. Like, I didn't even realize that you could get this many fade and fleeting units
right
at one time. Like,
yep.
This is like a very Mono Noaware board here.
Yeah,
okay.
Second Wolfpack. Now this one probably gets the token, right?
Yeah, well, because he can't Hunter's Market now, and we've got Phoenixborn Guard available. So
yep.
Unless of course we have another Consume Soul in hand,
if
I will remind the audience would be hysterical.
If Brian wants it dead, it's dead because he's got 2 swings, like, and a ping and a bunch of dice. This is looking more and more like it's like just solidly in Brian's hands.
Blood Brawl and then a ping.
Blood Brawl for 1 damage.
Blood Brawl for 1. That classic play.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you remember how hard I yelled about Blood Brawl? I was so scared of Blood Brawl. I was like, how can we print this?
I think there was more than one of us were. It was you kind of see as a playtester, you kind of see like the worst case scenarios for a lot of cards. Because like people you want to see what their ceiling looks like, so you kind of like let's test this out. And like we saw the ceiling for Blood Brawl, is like, oh my gosh, this is so terrifying. Turns out it's hard to keep wounded units around. Like,
who knew?
They tend to die. So
incredible.
Why not alleviate side action then Blood Brawl? Because it already has a damage. Phoenix Attendant says if there are no wound tokens on it, you can put one on there. So it can't just keep putting them on. Now that would be truly scary. Yeah, this is just looking like Harold's gonna run away with this pretty soon. Because, like, Koji doesn't really have... Like, Shadowfire doesn't have, like, a whole lot of ways to clear the board. If he falls behind, he just falls behind. You know,
Yeah.
you got Mist Typhoon. He's already played one Fester, right? So, like, he doesn't have a lot of removal in the deck. It's mostly just units. He's hoping to swarm you and then, like, stay ahead. And I've played decks like this before. I mean, my Hope Vampire Bats, which we saw KC play a similar deck very, very well last game. But, like, when you run out of gas with these lists, you kind of run out of gas. And that's why I think KC's list with Burn is, like, the Burn package is so good to have in there because it's your backup. Like, if you start falling behind on board, Burn's your way to win. That's your out. But if you kind of go all in on swinging, especially something like this with like a swarm of little dudes, if you start falling behind, you just stay behind. Koji can refill pretty fast, but like Harold's just so good at like dealing with that stuff.
There's a bear swing to go ahead and get 2 damage out. There are blockers for like the Phoenix Attendant and everything. They won't be there next round, but they are there now.
Mhm.
I am interested to see what Brian does with these last dice. Shadowfire on his end, um, unless he has a Raptor Herder in hand, there's nothing he can do with that frog except ping.
Raptor Herder would be pretty nice here, though. Could probably get another
Can you
2
check his
damage in at
discard
least.
pile for us?
Yeah.
I think
So
he's got 3 Raptor Herder, so
only one in the discard.
yeah.
So very well could have one in hand. And that honestly is about the only thing he could play with this, besides
This
just
is
saving for
brilliant, actually.
Ooh, Adrenaline Rush.
Yeah, you're
Nice.
onto something with the old Brian trying to do this in one nice big swing.
Yeah. Cause what? So Koji's at 10. There's 8 on board.
Brian doesn't even. I don't think Brian has sympathy pain or anything like that. No, he does not. And he has
No, there's
no
0
burn
burn. But
whatsoever.
Clashing Tempers. No, that's just 1 damage.
Yeah.
Is there anything side action that he could do to like win top? Oh, Duelist. So Duelist would be lethal.
Yeah.
But looks like
And
Shadowfire did use
saving that time guy. So
So Shadowfire used the nature to kill the Richless, which he has to do. Like he has to, because now it's like now you're looking at 7 on board, plus a Duelist is 9, which means he'll live with 1 life. If he had to play against lethal there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is looking pretty rough.
Well, and here's the other thing, even if there is no Duelist, you're taking 7 right here, and then you can still make more bears. So
Yep. Once these go away, but yeah. And a constant count 2 on those bad boys.
holding back the Phoenix Attendant just gonna get 6 damage here.
Yep.
Not entirely sure. I mean, I guess you want to heal and like ping off some of the other stuff. Some of this stuff is too big brained for me, or at least I'm just not a patient enough player. I'd be cashing in the house here because I'm stupid. I don't think there's any reactions or anything that.
Yeah.
Check. Nope. Sympathy pain. He's got sympathy pain, but if you just attack with the damaged bear first, I don't think sympathy pain actually affects the quality of your swing. We are going to get a sympathy pain.
Could have a lead chains in Brian's hand. He might just be trying to like let's just I can't swing for lethal. Like it's impossible mathematically with my hand. So let me swing with swing with my good swingers, keep my Phoenix Attendant around for healing. And if a bear dies or if I can blood chains him away, then I can start summoning new bears and get back up to being able to do that. Sympathy Pain did kill one of the bears. Yep.
The damaged bear from before. That's why Brian chose to attack with it first.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting
Fred,
there are 2 burn spells. What?
Fred pointing out, like, if Brian doesn't see a path of lethal, he's just gonna keep it safe and rely on control, which is that's kind of what I was saying before. Like, if you can't win, don't throw the game by just like, well, just attack and get him to 1. It's like there's no point in doing that at all.
Right.
You need to just keep your cool and like keep the board under control and get that damage in and then win next round. But
Shadowfire's done just enough to make it to where he's out of reach. He's made the right calls. Double Mist Spirit coming out. It's not going to stop another bear, that's for sure.
Sympathy Pain saved Koji 2 life because Brian swung the old salt first. That's yeah, that's a good call.
Really? Oh, that seems unusual for Brian. Worth noting that Sympathy Pain is one of 2 burn reach spells in either one of these 30-card decks, and instead of being used for reach, it was used to fight for the board.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're wondering what this matchup is about, there you go. Here's the Widows.
Yep.
We're gonna get a counter swing.
So yeah, so he's got the ability to swing here.
Yeah, but guess what, sucker?
Look at all those nature
Brian,
dice.
playing with that Phoenix Attendant.
I feel like your best use here of these Widows is just swing them all in, because like they're either gonna get Treant's Fusion or pinged away if you don't do that. So like you have to like get value out of them right now, which means they're mostly just gonna eat a couple of like Adaptodon will probably take one of them, and then you'll take 2 damage. And then he'll just heal it back up. So
well, no, if you're Brian, you don't block this at all.
Yeah, you don't have
let him
to.
hit you for 4, and then you just counter swing. And in fact, if you have duelists, aren't you at lethal? No. Oh no. Yeah.
No, not quite. 1 away. But
you can
Nick said
here.
Yeah, Nick said, "What's Shadow's path to victory?" And KC said the concede button.
I agree with that 100%.
The only way to win here is to have an honorable death.
Yeah, I think that Shadowfire had to thoroughly win the first 5 to have a shot in this matchup. And to be honest, he damn near did with that Fester. Like he really had a good strong start, but I think that what we said coming out of that first round was that Harold had the long-term advantage on the spell board. And I think that that's exactly what we've seen play out here. I mean, there's just no answer for these bears.
It's kind of
I happen to matches where bear is good. That's comfy for me. But it's wild that unit was such a big part of the conversation in 1.0. It was a big conversation at launch, and like here it is again. Like it's got to be the steadiest unit in all of Ashes. Like Frostback Bear is gonna be good until the end of time.
Yeah, so this is kind of a complete opposite of what we saw in the last match. We had another sort of aggro swing versus control, and in that game, Killer was able to put a lot of damage on early and then finish off with burn before that Demona could stabilize. And in this instance, we see the opposite happen, where the aggro deck, just got picked apart and lost round one. I mean, there was some good first fiving there, but ultimately the kind of first fiving Shadow did was more of like a I want to, control the board and whatever, and it wasn't as aggressive. And like, ultimately, unless you're gonna kill Harold like fast, you're probably not gonna win. His only weakness really is his 16 life, and if you let him just kind of take away with the board while getting this little incidental healing and like consume souling and so on, like you're just gonna lose. Like, so you have to like really take advantage of like tempo plays to get swings in at the right time, and ideally, in my opinion, you have to have burn. And I wonder, this is my kind of bold prediction for this tournament. Like every single one of these decks, besides killers, is really, really, really swing oriented. Like whether they're fast or slow, they're all doing stuff on the battlefield. And I feel like the faster decks are going to regret not having more burn. Like I just feel like that's the case.
I think you're right. One of the first things that I thought when I looked at the top 8 and everything, and we'll obviously see how it all plays out, but just looking at the structure of what's going on, the presence of 2 heralds, the kind of overall lack of reach. One of my first impressions when I looked at the top 8 holistically was that I thought that Killer Cactus's deck was pretty well positioned because it's got that strong alternate win con, and that's something we've seen historically rewarded over and over again in this game. And I obviously, it's a game about the battlefield, and I think that really heavily focusing on it is almost always a good play. But when push comes to shove, and it really comes down to the wire, having that out can be just a huge, huge deal. And so I do think that when you're talking about secondary win cons, in the top 8, you're looking at Killer Cactus's deck as the one that's really got the strongest case for having a good backup.
Yeah. And like we one of the earliest conversations around deck building in this game that I remember having and being a part of in the community is talking about how like you really do need to have like a secondary axis that you try and win on, because if you just rely on one, um, you tend to struggle. Um, or at least you have weaker matchups, right? In certain situations, like I can't help but
That
think
is
that
a huge
yeah,
is a huge
that was Shadowfire's last hope just being flushed.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
backbreaking.
this is
Yep.
this is GG for sure.
Woof. Woof.
There's virtually nothing that can be done here.
Yeah,
So.
there's talk in the chat of getting into one and letting Shadowfire commit Sudoku
Yeah.
with the goat. I agree with whoever said that that's the funniest wrong word in
Right.
history.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree too.
Committing Sudoku.
So here's the thing, because I have a feeling this game will be closing out pretty fast here. Here's the thing.
You were right, by the way.
Harold heal counter is at 5.
Oh, what is it? 5.
5.
That's not.
So
if
think about this. Harold is a 16 HP Phoenixborn. Frequently, I would have talks with JK, or with Tuxedo, more Tuxedo than JK. But I would have talks to them about like Brennan Byrne before it was Errata, and they would say like, okay, so what? I asked them like, what is Brennan's struggle like? Because this is clearly like so. Yeah, there's the GG. Congrats to both players.
it's he has the line right at the end to dig the old salt out of the discard pile, and that takes him
nice.
to.
Yep.
He doesn't even need to wait for the top of round swing.
Yep.
That was a
well played, everyone.
That was a masterfully played round by Brian. He had the tools and he played them in the perfect order, and he just slowly choked that Koji out. Shadowfire brought
Yep.
so much heat early, and then just didn't have the spillboard presence to kind of keep it up.
Yep.
Really cool game.
But yeah, let me finish this thought real quick. So like he would often say like Brennan's struggle is high life Phoenixborns. Like
Yeah.
Brennan like could run away with games against low life Phoenixborn, and like they were very popular because they're the ones with big battlefields with powerful abilities, you know. But he's like, you know, you put me up against like Soraya or something, and it's a struggle because like you are on sort of a knife's edge with burn. You're way more subject to variance, and like where every single little bit of burn counts, like 4 life is a lot. 4 life more is a lot more. So like Herald being at 16 life, that is a weakness. It is make no mistake, that's a significant weakness for Herald. And healing, you know, 4 or 5 is definitely a lot. I think, you know, there's been some pretty absurd numbers thrown around with like what healing Herald's capable of. Ultimately, I think like 5, 5 or 6, you know, that makes sense. That puts him up to like 20, 21.
At that point, Herald's a 20 life Phoenixborn.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
okay, like,
yeah. Which is why I, you know, saying like, as demonstrated earlier with Demona too, also a 16 life Phoenixborn with a ton of healing, right? The reason that KC was able to win is like that burn. It mattered. He had to win fast. The window was tight, but it mattered. So it's just kind of blowing my mind actually to look at this list and see so many swing decks with no alternate win condition. Like there's no burn, there's no one played mill, which is, I don't know, like I keep thinking like mill's just, why is no one playing it in this control meta type thing? But
charm dice in the whole tournament, and they're all
yeah,
being used for like golden veils and stuff. I don't think there's a single Cobra
yeah,
out there. Like, people just aren't doing it.
yeah. So like I think this is an interesting moment in Ash's history right now. Like we just came off the back of Red Rain Ceremonial, which has like a ton of healing, a ton of control tools. We came off the back of uh Red Rain's Nature, which is very battlefield oriented, has more healing, has good units. Like it makes sense where we're at, but I do feel like change is coming, and I feel like this tournament's gonna like reveal some things about like lists. Like, hey, maybe we should be thinking about alternate win cons a little bit more. Maybe we should think about faster decks. How do we win before all this inevitability and so on?
Real.
But
One
anyway,
final conclusion, I did point out that you know, there's like 8 charm dice and no Cobra. It is worth reminding everybody that we don't know that for sure, as Alfred's deck is lost to time, and he may have had all the Cobras in there, but we'll never know. As Astria is bad, and he's never going to play her again, except for this morning.
right. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in to this lovely evening of Ashes. It was fantastic to see you all here. We'll have some more Top Cut coverage coming for you, one way or another. I think.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central is our next game. It would be tight for me to get in for a stream on that one. We're going to talk about it. We may ask our friends over the Jankyard for some coverage if they can pull up. And then the other game this week is Carl and Waves, and it's looking like that's going to be happening on Saturday evening. And so everybody stay tuned, and we will keep you posted for when we're able to get these games going. And if not, then we'll make sure to tag everything in the Discord so that you can at least watch in Ash Techie. So thanks everybody for tuning in for sure.
Yep, and don't forget, if you ain't janky, no, I'm not gonna steal anything. All right, see y'all. Have a good night.
Well, we'll be back with more weekly content right after this.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody, and congratulations again to Killer Cactus and Brian B for their advancement to the top 4, and congratulations to No Such Method and Shadowfire for playing great games and bringing such cool decks. So Frog Up, Wolf Down, you know, all that good stuff. Good night, everyone.